Hey y'all, I'm Ashli Carnicelli, licensed esthetician, and you may have actually heard from me last week. And this week, I'd like to talk to you about enhancing your skincare practice using lasers. Now, it may vary in your state as to what the laws are about who can fire a laser and who's allowed to operate a laser. I currently work in the state of North Carolina, and I work under a physician and I work under a physician's license to operate non-ablative lasers. And we're going to get to that, the difference between ablative and non-ablative lasers for skincare. So, first of all, most of your patients and clients probably come to you complaining about either hyperpigmentation, uneven pigment, freckling, even melasma. Now, there are certain laser protocols that need to be avoided for melasma specifically because the heat can aggravate it. And I'm actually going to do another live all about melasma coming up. But one of the things that particularly BBL, non-ablative laser, which is broadband light therapy, can do is it targets the chromophores in the skin. So more specifically, the reds and the browns. The lasers can get deeper than some of your peels can do. Hydroquinone is one of those ingredients that can lighten and brighten the skin, but it is, a proven carcinogen. So I typically have my patients avoid it unless they have a really, really extreme case of melasma that's really stubborn, because I'd rather just treat them in a different way, take a different approach rather than chemically trying to what's the word I'm looking for? Not limit, but suppress the melanocyte activity in the skin. So let's start with BBL lasers or broadband light. So, what it does is the light actually emits a signal in different wavelengths to the skin, and it targets the chromophores in the deeper layers of the skin, specifically the reds and the browns. For the reds, you'll see if you use one of the adapters, it's like a little bit smaller to target the broken capillaries. And also, you may be familiar with the IPL. This is a very similar modality. BBL is just a little bit newer. Um, when it targets the reds, it actually fires and basically targets that capillary. The capillary explodes. Sometimes it turns purple. It's so satisfying to watch. I love it. And then they're left with just sort of like a red, diffuse red area that heals pretty quickly within a few days. Then, in targeting pigment or freckling in the skin, the pigment will turn darker. Something known as microcrusting will happen, in which the freckles and the pigment turn dark, and then they sort of can take on a chocolate chip cookie look where they get like little dots or coffee grounds in the pigment, and they slough off on their own after about a week or so. Sometimes it takes longer. In areas that are not as vascularized, such as the arms or the legs or even the hands, it can take even longer. It can take up to 2 weeks because I've done BBL on my arms before, and some of my freckles have taken a very long time to slough off. Whereas on the face, they appear right away and then they're gone. So it's pretty amazing to really deliver an overall evenness to the skin tone and a glow. So that's the first, BBL. Also, a lot of the technology for BBL is used for laser hair removal, but in this case, we're talking more about just enhancing the beauty of the skin and evening out the pigmentation. BBL can also do a little bit more for texture because it stimulates collagen. And so, with that collagen synthesis, when that light is sent into the skin, it causes that cell mitosis to kick up. Even though the light doesn't really get into the basal layer of the skin, it doesn't really matter because it just kind of stimulates that activity, which is great. Which is also why, with melasma patients, we like to avoid BBL because it can stimulate the melanocytes, and we want to suppress the melanocytes when you have melasma. And also, I'm going to talk in the future about, obviously, it's not in our scope of practice to diagnose melasma, but how can you tell the difference between hyperpigmentation and melasma? Well, quickly, melasma typically follows a pattern. So it's also known as cholasma or the mask of pregnancy. It doesn't have to come from pregnancy, it can come from birth control pills. It can come from hormone replacement therapy. You can just be predisposed to it. It's genetic. A lot of people suffer from it, particularly in the South where I live. I've never seen so much melasma. When I lived up north, I was treating mostly rosacea patients. And so now it's a lot of melasma patients. So it's very interesting to me to see the different trends in skincare. So melasma might look like a butterfly on the forehead, a little mask in here. Sometimes it can look like a little mustache, like a chocolate milk mustache. Underneath the eyes tends to be over here, little clusters. And if you step back from the skin, when you look at it, you see the pattern. You can't, if you're looking at their skin under the diopter, it might be a little bit harder to see that. But if they step away, or if you're able to take their photo in the Visia, you can kind of step back and see that pattern. So, how do we treat melasma with laser? So what you can do is there's two different protocols. One is the Clear and Brilliant, which essentially the Clear and Brilliant laser is using an erbium laser so the difference between BBL and laser, BBL is light therapy, so it's just a flash of light that goes into the skin, whereas using an erbium diode laser or an ND-YAG laser, you're actually getting a laser light that is penetrating in one focused area into the skin. So it is bypassing that top squamous level of the epidermis, and it's going in and it's targeting whatever it's needing to target. So whether it's chromophores or collagen synthesis, or it's ablating the skin, which once again, we'll get into ablative versus non-ablative. So two non-ablative protocols for melasma. The first is the baby halo. So Halo Pro is a pro-fractional hybrid laser in which you have the diode and then you have the erbium. And the erbium is what is going to target the pigment in the skin. And the diode is what is actually going to resurface the skin, typically no more than 30% of the skin surface. It's going to ablate the skin. So what that means is that that laser is going to heat up the skin to 100 degrees Celsius. The skin turns into a vapor, gets reabsorbed into the handpiece, into a buffalo filter. Hopefully you're not smelling it. Typically a mask is worn. Also, it depends on the state. In some states, it's considered laser surgery to do anything pro-fractional or ablative with laser. And so you have to really be mindful of what your state's laws are and requirements are. So with the baby halo, you don't add the ablation, but you do get the diode, the laser firing at the skin. And so it goes approximately 400 microns deep, which is typically the pigment is found 300 microns deep, but you can go 400, just a little bit deeper. And basically it creates those micro channels in the skin, bypassing that upper layer so that there's no ablation. So just like micro needling for the skin, but with a laser instead of with a needle, and not having to pierce the top layer of skin. The Clear and Brilliant works very similarly to this. And there's almost no downtime with both of these. The patient might feel hot. With the Clear and Brilliant, only if you use the Permea handpiece, which goes a little bit deeper into the skin, will you want to use lidocaine on the patient. With the baby halo, absolutely, lidocaine is a great thing to make it more comfortable for them. Now, pro-fractional laser resurfacing, or also contour TRL laser resurfacing, pro-fractional is a much higher percentage of the field of skin that gets ablated and heated up to 100 degrees Celsius. Full field laser resurfacing is typically done under anesthesia by a plastic surgeon, and that literally wipes out the whole top layer of skin. So if you're familiar, you've probably heard of the CO2 laser where, people come out looking like a burn victim. That's full field laser resurfacing. And what that does, not only does that target the pigment in the skin's texture, it erases fine lines, it erases deep wrinkles, it targets skin laxity. It's great for people with deep acne scarring. I mean, really, the opportunities with, pro-fractional laser are endless. Currently in the practice that I work at, it's our PA and our plastic surgeon who do pro-fractional laser surgery, and I think some of our nurses. So like I said, be really mindful of that. But in most states, estheticians can at least do non-ablative laser treatments, and the results are amazing. I think that if you are able to combine laser treatments, non-ablative laser treatments, for pigment, for skin laxity, for collagen stimulation, for reds, for rosacea, and you're able to see your clients for facials and making sure they're on a great skincare regimen, they will be amazed at their results and they will be your client for life. So I hope this has been informative for you. I hope it's been helpful, and I look forward to talking with you soon. And thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day.